What is
and everything is harder in war.
Hint, it's not your feet. You know, my muscles are finally free from the prison of war. War Master here. Welcome to the first ever suit-up session. In this series, we'll delve into the human body and a variety of other interesting topics, all while being suited up in the revolutionary system. Wearable Attached Resistance automatically stimulates your muscles, so while I'm sitting here talking with you, I'm also getting an intense workout that I definitely feel all throughout my body. Now, the topic for our first suit-up session is this: form denotes function, and we'll get into that. But before we get into form denotes function, the question of the day is this: what is the bottom of your body? Hint, it's not your feet. Okay? Let us know in the comments below what the bottom of your body really is. Now, on top of the question of the day, we also have two vocabulary words of today. The two vocabulary words of today are Microarchitecture and Macroarchitecture. Now, let's discuss the microarchitecture. Microarchitecture is the intricate network of nerves, blood vessel, and capillaries that form the foundations of the body's structure and functions. So without the microarchitecture, we can't have the macroarchitecture. Now, with wearable attached resistance, the suit puts pressure on the entire body, and it's like squeezing more juice, and instead of the juice is actually blood and lymph and nervous energy, okay? And it's driving it deeper and deeper into the muscle. So this enhances circulation, it delivers nutrients and oxygen deeper into the cells, deeper into the tissues, and it does all of this without actually pumping or using your heart and your lungs. So you don't see me out of breath. The suit is just exerting the pressure on the muscles automatically. Now, as for the macroarchitecture, which again is built from the microarchitecture, blood, lymph, and all that, the macroarchitecture refers to our bones, our ligaments, our muscles, our tendons. These are actually the large structures of the body that we see that allow us to do things, move around, and facilitate our life and our movement. Now, wearable attached resistance is acting like a crane. Okay? It's like a crane doing construction, and it's literally lifting up the bones and then aligning them and setting them in place. But at the same time, the pressure of the suit is also making them stronger. As you know, bones and muscles, they respond to pressure. They respond to force. So we have the force of gravity up on our head, and then you have the force of the suit doing upward pressure, and then you have the body in the middle. So that's how this works. That's how we're able to completely cancel out the heart, completely cancel out the lungs, and just go straight to the muscles. Now, let's get back to today's topic. Form denotes function. Okay? The human body is designed in a certain way, has a certain form that allows it to function as a human. Okay? We don't have fins and feathers and all this stuff that would make our function or our form that of a bird. We are designed a very specific way for very specific purposes, which in this case is the purposes of conducting human life. An example of form within our body would be our teeth. You have 32 teeth, or however many you have, but in general 32 teeth. Okay, and the 32 teeth correspond to your 32 vertebrae. So each tooth is linked to part of your spine, and then each part of your spine is linked back to the brain, which also has its 12 cavities, and those cavities flow down into the organ systems. So you can see everything is designed a certain form, and that form gives it a function. So this is a very key point to understand when dealing with the human body. Nothing is just willy-nilly. Everything has a purpose. Anytime a scientist says we don't know what this does, They don't know what it does, but that doesn't mean it doesn't do anything. As for the next form, let's go into the respiratory system. With the lungs and the airways, they facilitate the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide for optimal cell function. So oxygen breathes in, the diaphragm expands. You can see I'm in the war gear. My chest is huge. Your chest will become very huge the more war you get, the more war you perform, okay? Because it's opening up the diaphragm, and then you exhale and you let out that toxic, carbon dioxide. But I'm going to say this, okay? Not just your lungs are responsible for breathing. Each individual muscle opens and closes and like a airway, like an air sac. So in my opinion, the entire body is a breathing machine. Every single muscle is helping to breathe. The lungs is just a centralized, breathing center. But each muscle in itself also breathes and also brings in oxygen. And that's why when you start using them, right, and you start, moving around faster or whatever, the lungs have to expand faster to get more oxygen to the muscles. But with wearable attached resistance, just like I am right now, I'm also exerting force in my muscles, but I'm bypassing the lungs. So the muscles are still getting oxygen and they're still under the increased pressure, but they're not using the lungs. And what they're doing instead is they're just getting bigger. they're just opening up, okay? And that's part of the beauty of war. It's going to open you up. You're going to have better form. Let's think of it like this, right? If we're hunched over, you can't even breathe well like this, okay? Not only is the diaphragm compressed, but all the muscles are not standing tall or properly. But when you're like this, now there's better flow. So in my opinion, every single cell, every single muscle in particular opens and closes in order to breathe in and out, not just the lungs. Okay, so now I'm standing up in your mobile version. Later in this video, you'll see, the full body shot, okay? But I stand up in this part of the video because we're talking about the bones now. Okay? Your bones catch your muscles. They keep them in place. So you can see how war, it's kind of like making me stiff. Well, you want your bones to be stiff. You want them to be hard. Not stiff as in they can't move, but you want them to be hard enough to catch all the force of your muscles, the force of gravity, etc. So if you have really weak bones like osteoporosis, your bones are getting crushed by the pressure and then they start fracturing. But if they have a very stiff, strong, stern base, then they can handle tons and tons of force without cracking under pressure, so to speak. So you can see with wearable attached resistance, my bones, everything is being forced upwards and upright. Let me put down the mic and just go into the camera. Let's see. So this is a bone resetter. It's an orthotic device as well, okay? But your bones are a very key part of your overall body function. And it's coming out that, the bones actually synthesize cells, red blood cells in particular. On the topic of form denotes function and bones, right? So when you're a little baby, you're actually crawling and your bones are like this, right? But then as you begin to grow, you begin to expand and you begin to be more upright, more stern, more erect, right? And then what happens? You get older and older, the force of gravity over the years starts to get to you and actually it starts at your head. And now you start to hunch over and you know, you start to bend over. Before you know it, you're bent over like this. So your form is denoting your function. It's hard to breathe like this. It's hard, no wonder why old people can barely move. It's so hard to breathe like this. You have to be expanded. Now, with someone who's elderly, right? If they were to get into war, it would immediately open up so much of their cells. Well, what's the problem with bringing someone who's elderly to the gym? Their heart and their lungs can't take an intense gym workout. So bringing them there is like torture. But with this is very gentle. This would literally force them back into that youthful shape. It's gonna force their form back into shape, and thus enhancing their function. Well, you don't have to be an elderly person to get the benefits. What happens when you take a young guy and you put them in this thing? Well, they become super strong. Okay, so that's what's happening here. Form denotes function. Now, in the next part of the video, we'll do a brief showcase of me exercising in W.A.R Mobile, and then we'll begin to close out this first suit-up session. All right, to begin our workout for suit-up session number 1, I'm just gonna do a couple poses or a couple forms, right? Form denotes function. So as I change my form in W.A.R, it's also gonna change the function of my body. Like this is actually like doing like a lat raise, okay? And it takes energy to do this right here, because my lats are lifted up even higher. This, when I spread out my legs, this is 400 pounds of lateral force that my legs are fighting against. So it actually takes a tremendous amount of energy to open your legs while in W.A.R. But that energy is what actually makes it a great workout. Now you can see me starting to get out of breath as I begin to work out in the suit. Okay, let's see what else we can do. We can combine it with, classic dumbbells. Okay. And again, the suit itself is already a tremendous workout, so this is just extra. This is just to really drive in force, really pump more blood. Okay, we can do these. We can just hold it here and then spread our legs. So we can just hold different forms, or we can do more dynamic exercises. And then lastly, I will do some push-ups. So push-ups are really great with W.A.R because, well, let's think about it, right? This suit is exerting upward force on my body. So it's like going up. But then when you're doing push-ups, you're completely horizontal. So now you're horizontal while still having that upward pressure. So you really get a intense workout. It's shooting so much blood, up to the brain, up to the chest. All right, we'll finish off with some push-ups while in Wearable Attached Resistance. Okay. And everything is harder in W.A.R. Again, with W.A.R Mobile, you can definitely do a lot more leg workouts, like expanding your legs, which will make your thighs thicker. Okay, this suit, this bottom piece, the X, is so resistant, over 400 pounds of force, and you can see my breathing is very heavy just from those 10 push-ups. Not because I can't do push-ups, but because the suit already puts so much pressure on me. And then you combine that with push-ups and it becomes intense quickly. I'm still breathing heavy from those push-ups. You know what, I'm gonna do 5 more. Okay, so each push-up with W.A.R is not like a push-up outside of it. Outside of it, we all banging out 100 push-ups, okay? But inside this thing, it is intense, okay? The suit is already hard enough, and then you start adding exercise, and you get intense gains very quickly. So I'm gonna do 5 more, and then I'm gonna take this off and close this out. Okay, let's see. Maybe 10 more. My muscles are finally free from the pressures of W.A.R. Okay, that was intense, and I didn't exercise for too long. I've been exercising the whole time, passively, but as soon as I started, using the weights and the push-ups, it got intense very quickly. That's because wearable attached resistance is already intense. So when you add another exercise on top of that, the effects are crazy, okay? So that feels good to be out of the suit, okay? Form denotes function, okay? Those weren't regular push-ups. Those were super push-ups. It's not even like a push-up where you put the plate on your back. It's like a push-up where your whole body is 200-300 pounds heavier than it was. Okay, so it's very intense. All right, so we just finished the session number 1. The topic was form denotes function. So, let's see how W.A.R Master's form is. Okay, mind you, I don't go to the gym. I don't really exercise that much at all. I just do wearable attached resistance, and that's because I had to, right? Had to test the product and isolate my results from the gym. So for the past 2 years, I've been sedentary and barely exercising, and this is just the results of wearable attached resistance. I don't really watch what I eat either. I figured out that W.A.R is so metabolically efficient, it gives you that Michael-Phelps effect where you can pretty much eat whatever you want. So let's see my form, but don't take that advice, okay? don't just eat whatever you want right away. You need to, move accordingly. But again, let's get to W.A.R Master's form. Let's see. Solid body, 200 pounds, tons of muscle, wide chest. Again, you saw the product. It was widening out my chest. My chest just keeps getting wider, each time I suit up. Okay. So these are the results of wearable attached resistance. Pick up your suit, start getting jacked, start getting bigger with minimal effort, pretty much. It can't get any easier than this. I don't really work too hard. I work smarter, but now I'm about to work harder with W.A.R and see what happens accordingly. So, W.A.R Master out, pick up your suit. Okay, thank you all for joining me on this first suit up session. My muscles are finally free from the prison of W.A.R. I was a prisoner of W.A.R. My muscles were just locked in combat constantly. You could see all I did was like 5, 10, however many push-ups, and everything's just bulging out because the pressure is absolutely intense. Okay, so and that was the W.A.R mobile version. The W.A.R anchored, it stimulates the body even more. But thank you all for coming with me on this first suit up session. Hope you learned something. Form denotes function. And we're going to continue on from there. The next session will likely be on body correspondence. So body correspondence, unless I find something a little more interesting that I want to get into. But body correspondence is going to be our next suit up session. So definitely subscribe, like, and, attend that. Visit wearableattachedresistance.com if you want to order your suit. I highly recommend you pick this product up. It's a game changer when it comes to your fitness. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, listening to me here. And that was great. We'll also have the answer to the question at the beginning. Remember, the question was, what is the bottom of your body, right? What is the bottom of your body? And it's not your feet, okay? We'll have that answer in our next suit up session. So definitely like, subscribe, and join us for more. And pick up your war gear today so you can start getting these gains.